I want to introduce you to the author of Soul Places, the Star Child's Cosmic Atlas for Finding Heaven on Earth. Let's see if she's here. There she is, Karinne Piat. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Really excited to have an opportunity to talk about the book.
Oh, I'm very excited to have you here because I have all the questions for you.
Okay.
So
I
let's
have
talk about this. What are soul places, first of all? And tell us if a person needs to know if they're a star child or not to understand.
I know this is a really packed tight with pretty much like an entire epic journey that is my life. This is the book I really needed to be at Author Incubator to write. Soul Places. My journey started in childhood with a longing for a feeling of truly being home that could bring tears. And so it wasn't until last year, I knew I was going to write this book. It wasn't until last year that I started doing interviews and research to find out if I was alone in this, feeling. And I can't, the results were really phenomenal. Who I found, yeah, and what world I opened up from there. And so this really includes like everything from, so I had like a really strong longing. I cleared that in like a moment with a particular exercise that I include in the book.
Stuff like this, like I feel like I'm not home or I'm maybe in a strange place. Is this kind of what you're talking about? Like when they go in their day-to-day life, they're in their 9 to 5, they're doing life a regular way, but something hasn't settled in where they might feel like outer worldly maybe. Is this kind of the person you're speaking about?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm talking about almost feeling like you were born in the wrong country or that you don't speak the
Mhm.
language you're supposed to be speaking. If you ever had the experience of like actually standing in one of those soul places, you'll be hit like a ton of bricks. Like, I should be able to read this language on the wall, or I should be able to speak this, or I should know my way around. So it's really a phenomenon, and that there's like a soul's home. What I thought I was going to be writing about was a physical place on Earth, and I do. But what happened during COVID was that I could no longer have a program where we were taking journeys to these soul places. And I had a meeting with some colleagues, some really intuitive colleagues, and they said, I'm really feeling strongly you need to take us on a virtual trip. And I'm like, I don't even like virtual trips. I like real trips. I'm super pissed off. Like, I don't want to do that. I didn't like the idea of like website, photography tours or something. And even guided meditation didn't really like satisfy that need to be immersed in a new culture, a new way of being, a new way of thinking. But one of my colleagues was really persistent, and she said, I don't know why I need you to take me to Switzerland. So I told her to book on like for Thursday, and I had no idea what I was going to do. That appointment showed up. I was totally unprepared, and what happened was a spontaneous, out of body, interactive astral travel. So yeah, and that all happened like while I was writing my book. It was added a whole other dimension. So when you talked about star child, there's some of us that can identify as star seeds. There's just a connection, a deep personal connection of the stars, whether you're looking at it from an archetypal point of view or you're looking at it like ancient, you know, your ancient family, your ancient ancestor point of view. Like all of the ancient cultures here refer back to heaven, and their version of these beings. So in this book, I teach like specific ways to call on your spiritual guides to
And
meet.
to that, I ask something like, you're gonna have to call this in. You're gonna have to be very clear about what that might look like for you. But what issues, if a person or a star seed has not really found their soul place or a way to connect, like you're about to say and share, what ends up happening in their life if they don't pay attention to that calling or to that question or that angst or that longing? What happens in a physical sense to them if they don't listen to that.
Yeah, I know that firsthand. Seriously, do. It's like
Yeah.
a withering away. It's depression. It's you just feel like something isn't nurtured. What we're looking for in a home space is like it's coming both home to ourself and then creating that. We want to manifest it. This book isn't about just going out in the stars and collecting information and feeling good inside. It's about how do I manifest this? I want to bring back that information.
Mm.
So, yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, I could imagine if you start manifesting all these maybe ailments and depression and everything, it starts to affect a lot of areas. I mean, careers, I could imagine relationships that are affected because, I mean, quite frankly, it sounds like you're describing something that could um, feel very disoriented until they get some clarity.
Yeah.
Um,
So what ended up happening after that first travel, I launched a program, like a 1 week intensive astral travel program where I would take small cohorts on one-on-one trips. And the results were like truly astounding. And I did find massive activations and transformation in all of those arenas. It was relationship, it was work, it was, I mean, it was crazy cool. Physical health and well-being. Yeah, so there does come a lot, like when you really come into what it feels like to be home, you're like imprinted with what you want to create, and that feeling of that you start out with feeling so separated, it diminish, it's like goes away, and now you embody this home, and your world starts to change around you.
That's beautiful. And speaking of change, I've seen you change from one book to another book. This is your second one with us, and you speak from a lot of experience and intuition, and it's very beautiful to witness. How has this process at the Author Incubator supported your unique way of wanting to contribute?
Um, that's true. I went through like a metamorphosis with the Author Incubator. When I wrote my first book, I was trying on something new. I was literally just full of rocket fuel and I didn't know exactly which way to go, and learned how to write a book, which was amazing. And I feel like that first book really contributed. Um, but I had to really dig deep and find, like, unearth that feminine side of me, that one that's really creative, that is willing to go outside of the box, and support that. So when I wrote the second book, I mean, I was already had been given all the tools, but I really came into my voice. And I definitely want to give out a shout out to Erica, my editor, because she held, oh my gosh, she held amazing space for me, because this was a transformation that was happening real time by the end of those chapters. It was a true physical manifesting homecoming. And I think that the book is really packed with that kind of excitement and energy and magic and love, lots of love.
I love that. I'm so glad that the team was able to support you and your beautiful and unique expression of your contribution, quite frankly, to the world that's actually yearning for healing and clarity and direction. I think it's beautiful. If do you happen to have your title cover, your cover of your book here? I'd love for you to show us all your book title. There you go, everyone. Karinne Piat, Soul Places, the Star Child's Cosmic Atlas for Finding Heaven on Earth, Soul Places. Congratulations. Congratulations, Corinne.